Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. A ban on foreign buyers set to come in, but will it drive housing prices down?
We expect it to be a busy night. We expect a lot of people coming into the city.
Getting ready to count it down and the warnings that come with New Year's Eve celebrations.
We've lived here just over 4 years now. We've never seen it like this.
Plus, why the Fraser River in Agassiz has become somewhat of a tourist attraction. What's behind this beautiful scene?
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anita Bathe. Well, in just 2 days, non-Canadians will be legally forbidden from buying residential real estate in this country for at least the next 2 years. It's part of the federal government's plan to boost the housing supply and affordability. There will be exemptions, though, including permanent residents, people with temporary resident status, some international students, and some foreign workers. But here's the big question tonight. That is whether the restriction on foreign buyers will actually make it easier for British Columbians to buy a home. Kurt Petrovich has our top story.
It's the impossible dream for millions of Canadians. When an average home can run $1 million or more, the federal government's ban on foreigners buying in may seem smart.
I think this is very much a political policy more than an economic policy. Last time I checked on
this economist says it's not foreign buyers, but a decade of record low interest rates and lagging housing supply that's at the root of the affordability problem.
You have to understand how large the magnitude of foreign investment is. In BC, it's about 0.3% of sales over the past year. It's about 100 sales a month. It's very close to zero already. It's clearly not what's driving the market.
This Toronto real estate broker agrees that interest rates have largely driven house prices. But he says prices did drop when Ontario introduced a tax on non-resident buyers in 2017, and a ban might do the same.
I do think that you're taking out the buyer who has the least to lose and is willing to pay the most. And so I think it would have a measurable impact for sure.
So is a 2-year ban on non-citizens buying houses and condos going to make these any more affordable? We asked the federal government. It said yes, but it offered no data or analysis.
A spokesperson for Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland told CBC News that houses should be homes for Canadians to live in and not an investment asset for foreigners. This industry leader calls the ban xenophobic.
The biggest problem I have with this bill is that it really attacks the brand that we have as a country.
This policy professor says it's uncertain what effect a foreign buyers ban will have, but he isn't ready to rule it out.
There's reason to try and think about, my God, we just have such insanity in our housing system right now. Let's do everything we can to try and slow it down and overreach, potentially. I'd rather that's overreach at this moment than to not try enough things.
He says while the ban isn't a silver bullet, when combined with other measures, it could help put more Canadians into their own homes. Kurt Petrovich, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, New Year's Eve is just around the corner, and many event organizers are getting ready for the big night. It's the first time in years the annual celebration won't be subject to health restrictions in BC. And as John Hernandez reports, big crowds are expected in downtown Vancouver.
If you ask Daniel Zindler, it wouldn't be a New Year's celebration without a big blue balloon drop.
It's just watching the faces of kids just as balloons drop and grabbing them is always a ton of fun.
He's the artistic director behind a New Year's Eve variety show at the Vancouver Playhouse, one that he'll also host while doing this.
The circus is by far, I think, the craziest stuff we do. So there's going to be aerial silk artists in our ceiling on stage dropping and doing stuff from above the audience.
Excitement for the annual all-ages event is building. It's the first time in years they'll be able to perform to a capacity crowd. The pandemic shut down the event in 2020, and last year, gathering limits meant selling only half the seats.
So as a performer on stage, performing for shows with 50% capacity is weird. It's nice to have a full house. There's an energy to that. I think that there's something instinctive in us as humans to gather together and watch art and have fun together.
A return to normal that will likely mean big crowds in celebratory hotspots across the city.
We expect it to be a busy night. We expect a lot of people coming into the city, especially now that restrictions have lifted and we're kind of heading back to pre-pandemic life.
Police say there will be extra officers on the ground in the Granville Entertainment District, Yaletown, and Gastown. And if you're thinking of driving,
our traffic teams will be out there setting up roadblocks throughout the city. So we will have plenty of officers out to ensure everyone's safety.
TransLink is also helping to keep partygoers off the road by bringing back free transit on SkyTrains and buses across the region.
Starting December 31st at 5 p.m. until 5 a.m. on January the 1st. During these hours, fare gates at SkyTrain stations will remain open.
A much anticipated celebration that's sure to lead to some late nights, so why not start 2023 with a safe trip home? John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, a part of the Fraser River in the Lower Mainland is still a winter wonderland, long after warmer temperatures and rain washed away most of the snow. Our Joel Ballard went to check it out. Take a look.
I'm here in Agassiz on the banks of the Fraser River, where huge chunks of ice have collected, creating a scene straight from the North Pole. A long field of ice stretching down the river. West of the Rosedale Bridge, the ice goes on and on. Some chunks more than 6 feet tall.
It's a response from the really cold weather we had the last few weeks.
During the cold snap, the river froze in some parts. Then, as the weather warmed and river levels rose from the melt and rainfall, the ice broke off.
That area right around the Rosedale Bridge is a bit of a constriction, and the ice just sort of builds up there.
The ice field has piqued the interest of those who live nearby, and it's become a temporary tourist attraction of sorts.
Saw pictures of it yesterday and it was wild, so we had to come down and see it, and it's way more than what I thought.
We've lived here just over 4 years now. We've never seen it like this.
I really liked it. It was cool.
While the ice has collected here from along the Fraser, it's hard to tell exactly where it came from.
Unless there was detailed analysis, for example, the sediment that was contained within the ice, and you could source that sediment to a particular location, it's going to be a little bit difficult to determine exactly where that ice had originated from.
Though perhaps uncommon in Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, it's a usual occurrence in other parts of BC that experience colder winters. But it does come with some risks.
It can actually form a dam. And then with the water rising rapidly in the spring with all the snow melt, you can get very rapid flooding.
In the case of this ice field, it isn't expected to stick around for too much longer. With warmer temperatures in the forecast, this winter wonderland will likely melt away. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Agassiz.
Meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe joins us now in the rain. I know you're going to talk about that in a second, but I just have to say that scene is absolutely beautiful. When I first saw those images, I was so taken aback.
Yeah, same, Anita, and it's sort of going viral online right now, too. It's not often that we see the Fraser freeze shore to shore, especially with our warming climate. So glad that Joel got out there for some firsthand video. But yes, as you said, it is rain, and as Joel said, likely to see some melt with warmer temperatures sticking around. Let me show you the radar right now quickly, because we have had a full day of rain and we are not quite done yet. We've got another round moving across the island as we speak. And we still have that public avalanche statement in place. But Anita, I have a clearing forecast to tell you about coming up in a bit.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon, Joe. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Turning now to a warning from Surrey RCMP, who say 2 men pose a risk to the public. Police say Karnveer Garcha and Harkirat Jutti are involved in gang activity and violence, and anyone who is near them or associating with them or hanging out with them is at risk of danger. People are being warned to stay away. Well, a 12-year-old girl is being honored after going out of her way to help her neighbors in a North Vancouver fire.
No, it feels really nice. Like, I didn't think it would be this much of a big of a deal.
After smelling and seeing smoke in her apartment building, Parias Rezai called 911, and she and her parents ran down the hallway, knocking on doors to wake their neighbors. She has been given a commendation by the District of North Vancouver Fire and Rescue. Okay, a Port Alberni octopus has become TikTok famous after a group of prawn catchers accidentally reeled it in. Photographer Brooke Sierra, who filmed the video, said she was spending a few days on the Alberni Inlet to catch prawns. But when her group pulled the trap out of the water, it was heavier than it should have been. The reason why, well, you can see it there. This giant Pacific octopus was draped over the basket. It eventually let go and swam away. A controversial internet personality and his charges of human trafficking. The events leading up to Andrew Tate's arrest, explained after the break. Thanks for watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. For the new year, many BC families plan to go to Disneyland, but the costs and the thought of standing in line for hours in sweltering heat with restless children waiting for a ride that lasts, well, less than 5 minutes is making them think twice. One statistician has come up with a way to make the experience a lot more fun.
The number one way that people judge the success of their day in an amusement park is how much they get to see and how long they have to wait in line. I'm Fred Hazelton. I work for a company called touringplans.com, and I'm a data scientist, and what I do is I collect all kinds of data and information about the Disney theme parks and the Universal theme parks, and I use that to create tools to help other people who want to go visit them get the most out of their time and money. And so what our app does is it helps you navigate throughout the park by doing all the attractions in a certain order that's going to optimize your wait in line. After graduating from the University of Waterloo, I took a job as a statistician for Stats Canada here in Ottawa. And in the early 2000s, I was planning my own family trip to Disney World. And I came across Bob Selinger's book, The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. And I was amazed by how they took this data-driven approach to solving the problems of traveling to Disney theme parks. So I reached out to him to get involved, and I've been working with Lantesta, predicting crowds, predicting wait times, developing tools that help travelers solve these problems when they go to the Disney parks. This is our Lines app, and if I click on the Magic Kingdom, that brings me to a page with some information about when the park is open, its crowd level. So if I click on this, it'll take me to this attraction, and here's the predictions throughout the day of how long we think your wait in line is going to be. We use a type of modeling called machine learning. Every time someone uses our app in the park, they can submit through the app a wait time that they observe at one of the attractions. So basically, every time we receive another wait time, it goes into the database, and this model tries to find patterns in that data and then predict the outcome of the data in the future. That's part of my job, is every day looking at this and constantly updating the prediction for dates in the future. I love working with guests that are going to go to the parks to help them get the most out of their trip. That's an absolute thrill. To see someone go to the parks and follow our touring plan and save time and have a better experience because they've used something that I've helped create is an absolute thrill. There's nothing better than that.
A motorcade of police vehicles served as an escort today as the remains of the Ontario Provincial Police Constable who died this week were carried to Barrie, Ontario, which is his hometown. Police lights flashed as the procession made its bleak journey along the highway. They had gathered in the morning in Toronto at the Centre of Forensic Sciences. He was the OPP officer shot Tuesday south of Hamilton, responding to a vehicle in the ditch. The funeral will take place on Wednesday. Well, tonight, the future of mobile phone service in Canada is really up in the air. Last night, the Competition Tribunal quietly opened the door for telecom giant Rogers to merge with its rival Shaw. But now that decision is being contested by the Competition Bureau, which made the case against the merger. Anis Haidari shows us what it could all mean for you.
Rogers and Shaw should be allowed to merge, at least according to Canada's Competition Tribunal. But there are conditions. One's the company's already proposed. A major one, Shaw must sell its cell phone division, Freedom Mobile, to Quebec-based Videotron. Even so, the merger won't sit well with Canadians.
I think it would limit people's choices across the market and options, for sure.
We should be inviting new players onto the scene, not making it less competitive for consumers out there.
The idea of things becoming just bigger and bigger conglomerates and monopolies never feels safe.
It's a decision some expected but don't necessarily welcome.
Not one, but two different parliamentary committees, both Heritage and Industry, recommended against this merger. That means there was politically cross-partisan support to stop it, and yet it looks like it's going to go forward.
If it does, a major hurdle is now cleared for Rogers.
This is a dominant player that has been for a long time dominant, and for a long time on a campaign of shaping the market that it operates in, sort of finally getting really like the holy grail of what it wants in this marketplace, and that's the elimination of a fierce competitor.
But there is a potential snag. Canada's competition watchdog is appealing and applying for an injunction to stop the merger. Shaw and Rogers say they are still committed to this deal and say the decision to allow it is the right one. The companies point to the tribunal's own findings that say this deal may actually intensify competition in Alberta and BC. The federal minister responsible has said he'll only approve a deal that guarantees Freedom Mobile prices drop in places like BC, Alberta, and Ontario. Industry watchers say Canadians have heard those promises before.
You can't vote with your wallet when there's no choice in the marketplace.
Rogers and Shaw had originally set a deadline of December 31st for this deal to close. They've now extended that to January 31st. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
A U.S. congressional committee has released Donald Trump's tax returns, personal and business. It covers the years of his presidency and shows, though he had financial obligations around the world. John Paul Tasker is finding out he paid little to no taxes most years thanks to chronic financial losses.
6 years of Donald Trump's tax returns have been made public for the world to see. The documents are awash in red ink. Trump and his businesses lost money for years. He also claimed tax credits to offset the little he did owe. The result, in both 2016 and 2017, he paid just $750 in federal income taxes. In 2020, the last full year of his presidency, he didn't pay a cent. Over the 4-year span in office, he paid $1.1 million in total, taxes owed after selling some real estate.
I need to find his accountant. Yeah, because it's crazy.
On the streets of Washington, the reaction from some wasn't anger, but envy.
I think a lot of people, especially across the country, is going to wonder, well, how do I do that? Now, how do I lower my tax bill?
As long as he plays it legally, I don't think there should be any issues.
The former president is downplaying the document dump, telling donors today there's nothing to see here.
The radical Democrats' behavior is a shame upon the U.S. Congress.
I would want more information on how on earth that happened.
This tax expert says the Internal Revenue Service has some explaining to do. As president, Trump should have gone through mandatory audits. He didn't until the Democrats came calling.
Were they ordered not to do it, or did they not do it out of fear of reprisal?
Well, every president since Richard Nixon has released their tax returns voluntarily. Trump's allies say forcing the disclosure sets a precedent.
The political enemies list is back in Washington, D.C., and we worry this will unleash a cycle of political retribution in Congress.
It's not just Democrats who could capitalize on Trump's business losses. He's got a GOP primary to win, and all of this may complicate his return to this place, JP Tasker, CBC News, Washington.
And to another legal controversy, online influencer Andrew Tate has had his detention in Romania extended. He'll now be held for 30 days after being arrested on charges of human trafficking and rape. Lindsay Duncombe shows us Tate's rise to notoriety.
For those who abhor Andrew Tate, this arrest in Romania fits what they know of his online persona.
His message directly and really explicitly promotes violence, and in particular, violence against women.
Tate was a kickboxer, kicked off a UK reality TV show.
Andrew has had to leave the Big Brother house
because of a video where he appeared to attack a woman.
Release some greenhouse gases.
He then emerged as a cigar-smoking, wealth-promoting alpha male influencer.
As usual, Andrew Tate has the solution.
You are in the place where the money resides.
But to sit here and say I'm dangerous and I must be deleted is disservice to all the men of the world.
And then he was banned from Twitter when he suggested women bear some responsibility for sexual assault. Tate has been banned from TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, but his content still exists and can be shared.
One of the biggest mistakes he ever made was banning me. This annoyed God.
Elon Musk allowed Tate back on Twitter, and the professional provoker provoked teenage environmental activist Greta Thunberg, boasting in a tweet of the carbon emissions of his luxury fleet. Thunberg responded. This educator says people, especially parents of young men, need to actively counter messages from Tate and others like him.
Influencers sell this idea that if you're a tough guy, if you're this certain type of man, then women won't reject you.
Tate's lawyer told reporters there are no grounds for his detention, which was extended to 30 days. Tate was arrested with his brother and 2 others. One accusation, that women thought they were entering relationships but were forced into pornographic acts under threat of violence. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
If you haven't done it yet, you got one more day to write down your New Year's resolutions, what some Vancouverites are hoping to accomplish in 2023 after the break.
Was the site of the 1958 final between Brazil and the host country Sweden. Normally reserved, the Swedes were vocal in their support of their home team. The Brazilians were led by a 17-year-old phenom by the name of Pele. Surprisingly, it was the underdog Swedes who scored first. Nils Lidholm beats Brazilian keeper Gilmar. But the Brazilians strike back quickly. Garrincha's cross finds Vava, and it was 1-1. Then a replay of the first goal as Vava, again the goal scorer. Brazil takes a 2-1 lead. Second half, Pele scores one of the all-time great goals. It was 3-1 Brazil. 13 minutes from time, Zagallo breaks in on the left side to score Brazil's fourth, and they let it 4-1. However, the Swedes get one more, but Pele puts it away, soaring to head in his second of the game. 5-2 the final score for Brazil as they win their first World Cup, a stunning achievement for the country and its young 17-year-old superstar who was overcome with emotion. That superstar named Pele.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known to the world as Pele, here leading Brazil to the World Cup Soccer Championship in Mexico, 1970.
I fight in college with the kids because no, my name is Edson, they call me Pelé. I got 2 days suspended in the school. Then everybody in school, all the kids start to call me Pelé. I hate that time. Today I love, of course. Now I love because, I don't know, God gave it to me. Short name, easy to pronounce it, any language you can remember, Pelé. Because my name is Edson Arantes do Nascimento. This is hard to remember, no? And then today I love Pelé.
Pele with a hard shot into the goal! A shot into the goal! Pele has scored in his last half for the Cosmos. And this is what today is all about. The music is all Auld Lang Syne, but it isn't New Year's Eve because there's no tomorrow in the career of Pelé. No New Year coming, not as far as that playing career is concerned. But we said the story was about love today. And there it is. The love of the man for the people, the love of the people for the man, the kind of a hero.
If you get the gift from God to play, if you be in good shape, nobody stop you. Then I try to do this all my life. That's, I think, something who I feel very proud of me, because I try to give my best, to give the best for the people, for the crowd. Then God was very nice with me.
We've got some big news to share about our annual food bank fundraiser here at the CBC. There is only one day left to donate, but to date, donations are closing in on $2.7 million. So we have to say thank you. The generosity is absolutely incredible from around the province, and we appreciate it so much. You have until midnight on New Year's Eve to give. All you have to do is go to cbc.ca/BC. Okay. Double trouble and make it double again. That's the reality for one Brampton couple this year. 2022 brought, if you can believe this, 2 sets of twins born 9 months apart.
It's definitely been a whirlwind.
Just a lot of surprise, and we're just soaking it in.
Reva Nicholson and Romaine McFarlane welcomed babies Kyra and Shimar at the end of February. That was 3 months early. And then just 1 month later, Nicholson was pregnant with twins again. She gave birth to Maya and Mariah 2 months before her due date. And today, they finally brought their newborns home. I mean, 4 babies in a year, I could barely handle one, so kudos to both of you. And speaking of babies, the annual list of the province's most popular baby names for 2022 is out. There have been around 38,000 babies born in BC this year. That's compared to just over 44,000 in all of last year. Noah takes the top spot for name choice. That's followed by Olivia, which has made the list 8 out of the past 10 years. Oliver is next, then Liam, Theodore, and Jack. The list is rounded out by Emma, Lucas, Leo, and Sophia. Yeah, I think I personally know about 5 Olivias born in the last 3 years, Joe. I gotta say, no Wesley, no Anya on the list. I don't know about you, but I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. I noticed, I looked for both of our kids' names there, Anita, and yes, a lot of Theos and Olivers also in Wesley's class. But yeah, congratulations to all 2022 babies. I'm still trying to get over those double sets of twins. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
All the best to that mom and family. We've got a pretty decent forecast as we head into the weekend. Let me show you the provincial forecast. I know we could all use a break from the rain, and here it comes. Tomorrow, clearing skies for the south coast. A little chilly still for the interior, but look at that sunshine. That's the story for most of the province through Saturday and Sunday. A little milder as well. Temperatures above seasonal by a couple of degrees. Now, the showers do return next week. It's not a washout, but I do see some showers here and there through most of the forecast, and temperatures through the overnight will dipping close to the freezing mark as we head into Tuesday morning. Now, you didn't think you were going to get away without an obnoxious New Year's Eve forecast for Metro Vancouver. So as we head into tomorrow evening, dry skies with temperatures around 5 degrees for that sort of 10, 11 degree mark. Beautiful sunshine for the first day of the year, with temperatures are about 5 degrees, Anita. So all in all, whatever your plans are, forecast looking good.
Well, that is good news. Hopefully, I guess you could party outside or inside, really, because of that. So great.
Exactly.
Okay, and this is our last 6 p.m. newscast of 2022, Joe. And as a way of seeing what 2023 has in store, we asked people in downtown Vancouver to share their New Year's resolutions with us. Take a look.
Just keep on trying to survive, win, and then thrive.
Well, I started a new school this year, and I'd like to make a few more friends.
That's great. And how about you? I've had to think a lot about my New Year's resolution, trying to figure out something that has to do with just being more joyful, appreciating things more.
I do triathlons and I do cycling races.
So I would like to win first place in one of those.
Get straight A's.
Probably just to keep spreading the joy that I have in my life to other people. Continue helping out other people as I go.
And maybe save more money for buy house. Why not? I hope like for the next year it's going to be better, like peace and all these things.
It's been a tough year for everyone, I think, but I'm excited for the new year, that's for sure.
It is another year like any other, absolutely. Yeah, it's another opportunity to really enjoy life.
Oh, I might borrow some of those, Anita, for the year ahead. It has been a year, but I have thoroughly enjoyed doing it with you, Anita. So all the best, and I'll see you next year.
Well, thank you, Joe. The feeling is mutual. All the best to you. Happy New Year. And
Happy
New
New
Year to all of you. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight. It's the last one of 2022. And we want to leave you with a montage of the year in photos in British Columbia from our very talented photojournalists. Good night.
Good night.